Your mental health, setting boundaries unapologetically. We are fortunate to have professionals here that can provide very helpful insight into this obviously very important topic. Dr. Lisa Lowry Lomas is the president and CEO of Lisa Listens Incorporated, a business that focuses on mental health and wellness. Dr. Lowry Lomas's mission is to assist individuals in attaining inner peace and true happiness by identifying barriers and limitations, recognizing strength and skills, and implementing personal power to reach personal and professional goals. Dr. Lowry Lomas is well-rounded as she has served the judicial branch of government, academia, and the private sector. Secondly, we have Dr. Camille Adam Jones. She is a remarkable psychotherapist and wellness advocate based in Washington, D.C. Dr. Jones is multifaceted, and her resume is truly impressive. She's a corporate cultural transformation advisor and the creator of Clinician Fest, a platform that is revolutionizing the realm of mental health care. And of course, we welcome back the one, the only, as the moderator for this session, the president and the founder of Black Health Matters. Yeah, the woo queen, Ms. Rosalind Young Daniels. Please put your hands together for all of these wonderfully brilliant and beautiful young ladies for this, what I know is going to be a highly fascinating and informative session on mental health. Now, we waiting on one more person?
We're ready.
No? Okay. Well, I know you're ready. All right. Did I pronounce everyone's names correctly? Can you please repeat your name? Okay, good.
You can say my name again if you'd like.
Oh, yeah?
Y'all stop it. My husband of 16 years is in the audience, but I'm a fan.
Hey, that's all right. I got a wife too.
Okay.
And I'm going to still flirt back. What your name is?
My name be Dr. Camille.
Everybody, look, I'm going to make everybody do it. Everybody say Dr. Camille. All right. Camille Adam Jones?
That's
yes?
me.
All right, nice to meet you, Camille.
You as well. Let's take pictures for Facebook.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me?
No.
Now?
Yes.
Sorry. All right. So listen, we saved the fun, the daring, and the exciting for last, which is we're going to take a look into how Black women feel about their mental health and get tips and strategies on what we can implement today, tomorrow, and moving in the future. Quick questions. I think I want to open up from the perspective of COVID, because that was the first time I heard people say, I'm just not feeling so great. I miss social interaction. I feel like that might have been the first time in mass that Black folks might have felt it was okay to say, I'm not okay. Please share.
Well, we were just talking about this earlier in the green room. Thank you, by the way, for inviting me, and good afternoon, everybody. About how in our community, acknowledging mental health challenges has gotten better, but has really, truly been a hurdle to clear for a long, long, long time. And a variety of different reasons, but I'd like to think COVID gave people permission to acknowledge, but I really don't want to believe that that's the catalyst. This has been an ongoing effort by people in our field to silence the shame and to remove the stigma in mental health concerns in the Black community. Because, Uncle Joe, who acts crazy a little bit sometimes, we've been talking about him. We've had substance abuse, domestic violence. All of these are often rooted in mental unwellness. And so the isolation in COVID gave everybody permission to say, what in the world is happening? But that was for my extroverts. My introverts loved it. They were like, oh, I'm home and cozy. So, that's my experience.
For me, I think COVID removed our opportunity to hide behind organizations, titles, commitments, and that to-do list. We were in the house. We were forced to really face what was going on. We were forced to look over next to that partner and say, do I really want this? To look down at these children and say, are you really growing the way I wanted you? To really have that conversation about your mother-in-law. To really have that conversation about whether or not I am employed by someone that shows me value, that's someone that respects what I have to offer and in return sees me for me. We were removed from the opportunity to say, oh, I can't work on myself today because I got to go here. You couldn't go anywhere but to the Costco. And once the toilet paper was gone, you had to come back and deal with you. And I think that COVID, again, I don't want it to say that, because there was so much work being done prior to. And it just leveled the path. For everybody else who hadn't joined us, it made that opportunity available for them to also take a look inward.
Interesting. Now, in terms of dating and our love lives,
Can I politely interject?
Sure.
We got an open seat, and we just had a conversation about us doing this without the brothers, so I'm gonna come sit down.
Come
I ain't
on.
got to say,
Come
I ain't got to
on.
say much.
Come on.
So again, I don't want to impose. I ain't got to say much or do much. It can revolve around y'all, but I'll be here every once in a while if y'all want to come to me. All right? But it didn't make sense to be
Join
sitting over
us.
here when I can be sitting up here with
that's
y'all.
right.
We literally just talking about it.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And this is the perfect time for you to jump in because we're about to talk about dating. So now you have to represent for all.
So yes, Lamont and I were sharing. Now, if you look around this room, it is dominantly women.
Yeah.
And so I was saying to Lamont, what can you say to our brothers so that they feel encouraged to come? And he said, make a place for them at the table. Make sure they know.
Here we
So
go.
he's making sure we're making a place at the table in this discussion around Black women and mental wellness. So again, some of the stats I'm seeing is that Black women are some of the most uncoupled in this country. We may not date the way that our hearts want us to do. We may not find love. How do we deal with that disappointment so that it doesn't spiral in us and have us thinking badly about ourselves?
Well, I think if the numbers have increased and we're uncoupled, it's by choice. We're making the decision to not settle. We're making the decision to put ourselves first, to set some boundaries, and to really articulate what we're looking for and what we want. And self-care is become cliche, but it is real. Taking care of yourself. And one of the things I talk a lot about is being selfish, because it has a bad rap, but being selfish simply means to put yourself first. Yeah. And Black women are starting to do more of that. And so if they're uncoupled, and I'm a mother of 2 sons, I believed in arranged marriages, so I can talk to people. But as a mother of sons, I talk a lot about valuing women, Black women, and I'm watching them, and I'm watching them date because they're young men now, and it's been very interesting because of their platonic friends and their romantic friends are just not tolerating certain things, and they've set a bar, and I appreciate this younger generation of women for doing that, but I caution us because we can't be so rigid in our positions and beliefs that we don't give room for compromise and imperfections, because we have those too. But I could go on and on.
I think that there has been a concerted effort to not repeat some of the missteps of generations before us. There was a whole line of women that were sent off to college, not necessarily for degrees, but for MRSs. This is where you go to meet your husband. This is where you go to pick up something that you're going to hang out with for the next 50 to 60 years. It was also safe because you knew the brother was educated. You knew that, you at least had something in common with the fact that both of you could read. But I think it's been a great movement, not necessarily the lonely aspect, but as a therapist, I have so many people out here dating who are unavailable to date. Brokenness so thick, just grieving, horrid, just nothing fixed, nothing unpacked, haven't really done the work to take care of yourself yet, and still you're outside advertising yourself as available. And what you are doing is just contaminating someone else's life, producing toxicity to raise children amongst, bringing just grief into the entire community. You got the HOA on fire because the police are at the house constantly because of the choices you have made. And so when you decide to say, you know, I'm unavailable and I'm going to sit in the house, you're doing a community service as well as a self-care service for yourself, okay? And on the other hand, there are so many brothers who have felt that it is easy to just pick up one of us. And we have decided not today, all right? And Lamont, I want to know what's going on in those meetings that y'all are having. When we are all out here trying to be wives, we comfortable playing our part. We want you. So what's happening in these meetings that y'all are not coming back and saying, we want you too?
So that wasn't just rhetorical. You really asking me?
Because I feel like there's some type of gathering.
So
of the
6
brothers.
months, we're gonna have that conference in
Okay.
here. All right, like that's a whole conference. But one of the platforms that I currently am exercising and participating in is we have a national tour that we call Just Heal Bro.
Yes.
And that is we're actually headed to the Bahamas, which will be one of our first international stops. So this is now an international initiative and conversation. And what's interesting is that these meetings, right, are not meetings. They are often informal, uneducated gatherings of the egos and fears of men. And that's exactly what we're trying not to do with our tour. We're trying to have actual collective community gatherings of men who are telling the truth. Men who are talking openly about their vulnerability, about their imperfection, about their grieving, about what trauma they may have been through or experienced or even inflicted. And what sometimes, again, you all, right, sorry to generalize, may not know is that those things are just as real for us too. And we don't often know what to do. We don't have anybody to talk to, even you. You live with us, you birthed us, you're our sister, you're our lover, our grandmother. We can't talk to you. You don't know how to talk to us. And when we talk to you, you don't listen. We have clearly told you sometimes what we need, what we don't want. Don't talk to me that way. Yeah. It's important to hear me this way. Help me. There are many times men are saying, help me. Yeah. We're not getting the help. So it's this transparency that we have to do the work, to have the courage to do in order to meet you where you need us. Right? We need you. We want you. Trust me, don't let none of these dudes tell you they don't want to be with somebody. We are doing our best to act like we don't need you and focusing on all this other superficial foolishness, all this fake swag, all this stuff that, again, even the little boys are doing. And it's a lie. But that's our defense mechanism. That's also how many of us are socialized. Don't fall into that trap. So again, these meetings aren't really meetings, but they're conversations. There's things that we've agreed to, ways that we've been socialized, and ways that what it means to be a man, how you talk, how you do it. But so we've got these things that we've agreed to that really impact how we function, how we talk, and not just how we treat you, but how we talk to and treat ourselves. And it's in the way. So that's what our work, hopefully even here today, is. How do we break these barriers down? How do we get this mess out the way so we can really be who we really want to be for each other?
You're talking. because that's part of the problem. We don't communicate.
Exactly.
We don't communicate to each other. I mean, women to women, men to women, even to ourselves, messaging that is going on inside of our head. So being open and honest and really communicating is key. So sometimes, I mean, you all think you telling us what you want,
Exactly.
but that's
we don't
not
often
really
have
what's
the
happening.
language.
That's
we don't
right.
have the
That's
language.
right.
So even if we have the courage, we might not have the language.
Right.
Or we have the courage and then the language, but we're still learning the tone.
And
right?
I think
so
we
there's
need
so,
past
there's
it.
so
We need
much
the-
to figure out along the way, but that's why, again, we have to show each other some grace.
Yeah.
You know, but that's why we're trying to open up these rooms
And we gotta
say,
keep the
hey, brother,
conversation
hey,
going.
brother, show up.
That's right.
And
Hold
that's why
up.
I think-
this
Keep the
isn't
conversation
ego
going.
Yeah, this isn't the macho conversation of the locker room. This is the honest conversation with your boy, with your best friend, with the man that you can be completely honest with and be like, yo, this is what really happened to me when I was a child.
Yeah.
Or nothing, I was never violated, but I'm scared of marriage. And this is why. Like, who are you talking to like that? And you'd be surprised how many men, we have those kind of relationships with each other. But oftentimes, if we do, they're small in number, you know, and we're often even afraid of sometimes that truth and those vulnerabilities or those secrets being weaponized against us, right? So we rather not say anything. We rather not let anybody in because we got to be strong. We got to be infallible. But one of the things we try to emulate and push forward is that there's strength in our vulnerability. There's strength in this truth. I often say, the sooner you get to it, the sooner you get through it. And if we
I
keep
haven't
living in
appreciated-
this,
yeah, give it to 'em, give it to 'em.
this, you know, this lying kind of space, we're not doing ourselves any good, and we're definitely not really, you know, doing any service to the people that we love and that we know that we need and that we have even vowed to protect and provide for.
And can you imagine if we as women get our posture together, our gentlemen get their language together, what we could do?
Oh, my
Where we
goodness.
could be. That
Take
whole-
over the world.
Yeah, the whole I don't need a man. I absolutely need a man. Come help me get these groceries out the car. Come partner with
see,
me
there we
on
go.
this mortgage
No, I'm kidding.
payment. I can't get on the roof, but I can help you call somebody. Like, just if we could match with the healing aspect of everything that we're
that's
saying.
it.
But it's been such inward conversation, so I need to celebrate you. Now, ladies, some of you have heard about this destination they have going on in Bahamas, and you're trying to get you a ticket to Bahamas. don't do that. Don't do that. What I want you to do is...
You notice I did not disclose the date or
He was
which of the 98 islands of the Bahamas we're going to be in.
But what we
Smart.
should do is work on our part. Do our part. So you don't want a ticket to the Bahamas. You want to catch the brothers on their way back from the Bahamas. They done their work, we done our work, and then let's collectively come
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And
But you
when
know-
you hear we're coming to a city near you, encourage all the men and boys in your life
Yeah.
to show up. If we haven't come to a city that you live or work or have relatives in, help us get there. Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take this train everywhere we possibly can and like tell as many brothers as we can, hop on this love train, black man, because we need you, we need it. And the best way for us to, again, to be there for you is for us to get our stuff together. But we got to own it, and we got to, you know, we got to come to it. Sometimes you got to go backwards before you can leap forward, you know, as well. So we're just
But part
trying
of
to,
what-
really trying to show what that looks like.
You know, getting ourselves together is looking within, and it's acknowledging and recognizing in part trauma. You know, and the trauma didn't always just start with us. It's generational trauma. So we are still, the messages and the teachings that we learned from our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents, verbally and even just by watching, unconsciously we're picking up habits and interactions and the way we talk to each other. And so that's also being aware is just key. Just stopping and pausing and asking yourself, why did I say that? Why did I say it the way I said it? Where did I get, that's what I was about to say. Where did that come from? Where did I get that from? And if you're looking at, you know, no disrespect to my parents, but I didn't want a marriage like the marriage they had. So if you're looking around you and you're looking at relationships, back to your initial question, and you don't want to replicate any of them or emulate any of them, then the messages that you got from them aren't ones that you want to duplicate.
All right, that was powerful. Thank you. What And again, I'm going to throw this out there. Are black women underdiagnosed when it comes to depression and anxiety? Are we underdiagnosed?
You and I both have, okay. So, so I believe in part, we have to own some of this. We got to take the S off our chest and stop trying to be superwoman. And I think if we're underdiagnosed, because I do believe, and I'm gonna let you speak to that, that we are going more, it's what are we, number one, what are we sharing? What are we telling? Are we allowing ourselves to be vulnerable? Or are we pushing? Are we saying, oh, I can do one more? I can, oh, don't be lazy. Let me get up. Let me recognize, and all of these are false messages. That, I mean, again, my mother, my grandmother, come on, you can do that, get up, and the expectations that we place on ourselves and on one another. I mean, other moms to moms, and I mean, I could just talk about this all day long. So part of it is taking off the S and recognizing that you're human, because the S makes you not human, and that's a problem. I mean, that is a problem. We get to feel like everybody else. But I also think that part of it is what people project onto us. The societal and advocating for yourself, which I heard some people talk about earlier in the doctor's office, is critical because they still think that black people are stronger and that women don't feel and that this doesn't impact us the same. And so it is advocating and saying, no, I don't feel good. No, this really is happening. And unfortunately, our voice has to be louder and more repetitive and stronger. And I would encourage, if you struggle in that, bring somebody with you to the doctor's office and have an advocate, whether it's your mother, your sister, your best friend, help you deliver the message to the doctor, no, I really am struggling.
I think for me, there has been this mantra of the strong black woman, which we went through an entire generation of it being very empowering, and now we are learning the residue of that mindset of needing to be strong, needing to be this Teflon piece, and not understanding the softness and inward needs that we come with that. And I also think it comes from this, like when we were raising girls, I know the generation I was raised in, it was raised to be strong, to be together, like you can do it, you can push through it. Religion, a heavy coat and covering. Depression, a curse word in society, in our community in many aspects, as it was dismissed of, what do you have to be depressed about? You want to know what we went through from generations before us and generations before, like, you don't know depression and things like that. But it's also not trying to be dismissive of how we feel. There is so many aspects of emergency notices that in life that black women ignore. Yeah. When you get on the airplane, what do they tell you to do? If you're rolling with children, put your mask on first. We rarely put our mask on first. When you dial your doctor for something, they say, if this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911. We believe we're 911 for absolutely everybody in our lives. And I want every black woman, if there's nothing else you do for yourself or take away from this, I want you to get a hanger. Not one of those ones you get from like the Zips cleaners, the wire hangers with the cardboard box. I want you to get one that looks good to you, a dedicated, strong hanger. And I want you to find reason to hang up that cape. This superwoman aspect she spoke to is deteriorating us. Just from a self-profession, just a transparent moment, April 5th of 2021, I had a stroke. I'm not on crack. I'm not, I hadn't turned the curve on 40 or anything like that. I had a stroke. I went blind, and I was like, oh my God, I just got my lashes done, so I was thinking maybe there's a lash in my eye. And then here I am in the midst of a TIA. I was like, let me get in my car because I got to go pick my little girl up from dance. I tried to drive having a stroke. I had, the little work phone. I'm texting, can't see, so it's just all F's and X's and K's. And I get to the hospital, and I call my husband. He's like, don't, Camille, just stop. I did not know how. And then we got to the hospital, and there was a black nurse. And I'm texting work. I'm dealing with an HR nightmare. And she says, let me ask you something. Is that text message worth your tomorrow? I'm in here putting like the little leads all over you, to cutting your shirt off and things like that, and you here trying to host a conversation and send a text message. So I'm not only a player, I'm the player president. I'm involved in it just as much. As educated as I am on mental health and wellness, I was 110% ignoring every signal my body was giving me until it said, you know what? You ain't gonna put no stick on this check engine light button no more. You're gonna have to take care of yourself. So how many of you are ignoring the signals and signs? Our edges aren't just eroding on us because of the hair pulling back. We are intentionally not taking care of ourselves. Our diet is not out of whack because we don't eat well. We eat on the run. We eat on the go. Everything for us is of a convenience. Nothing is for a courtesy and like a concierge service because we are so busy extending that to others. When it asks if we are undiagnosed with depression, we are because we don't show up to even get diagnosed. But let someone in our family show signs and symptoms of, I can save my husband's life at any moment. And I'm there, I can do anything for any of our 3 children I need to do. Somebody tell me they need a tooth extracted, I can be at the dentist within 28 minutes. Somebody need a splint on the finger, I can make one in my kitchen with a broken spoon, wrapped around some duct tape. I can do all the things. But when I'm just like, I'm not well enough to show up for today, I put these heels on, I throw something on these lips, I get in the car and I make it happen. It's okay to have timeout days. It's okay to give yourselves those permission to do that. But we have come from so many conversations before us that tell us, keep pushing. Keep pushing, keep going, keep going.
And be strong.
Be strong, be strong.
I've never in my life had somebody say to me, be strong, when really what they were trying to say was, don't talk, keep going, stuff it. Whatever is happening, some major event is happening in my life. My husband died. My children were 4 and 8. And I was told, I was early 34 years old. Be strong. Be strong. I mean, basically what you're saying is don't feel. And keep going and act like this event didn't just derail everything that you had planned and make your world turn upside down. And so this strength thing that you talk about, that we stuff and we just keep going. I mean, my God, my sister, I'm glad you're sitting here.
I know, because God help me if my children were raised by my in-laws. I said, Lord, I know it ain't time to take me yet. Leave my children to be raised amongst the wild.
No greater motivation.
I know, it ain't no major motivation. My mother-in-law could be in charge. Okay, God bless her, God bless her. She's a lovely lady. But it's so important to really recognize the signs. And you bring up another aspect, to lose a spouse with little children. And they want me to pretend I didn't lose my life partner. We don't also know how to grieve in this community.
Right.
I lost my father as well, and his funeral, you thought it was like Showtime at the Apollo. We there handling everything through humor, one side, the other side handling everything through ginger ale, macaroni and cheese, and Costco chickens, okay? And so we don't even have the formula or understanding of how to grieve. Grief is an emotion that is necessary for the body to have a full cycle of. It's also one emotion that has 0 timeline. So you may think you grieving to get through the point of, I found out he's passed, we got to go into business mode to get him buried. But the true work starts when everybody's gone away.
Yes.
Those
By
cards
yourself.
aren't coming
Yes.
in, you're by
Yep.
yourself.
Yep.
And the kids are getting up, you're tying their shoes, and they're saying, when's daddy coming back? And you're not allowed to break down in that moment. You're not allowed for everybody not to go to school that day, for you not to have to show up to work. Why? Why not? So how did you push through?
Well,
You said every day, right?
I had my S on my chest. I had my cape on. I had 2 children. You know, I have 2 sons who needed me to keep going and help them keep going. And so I grieved a long time, a long
That's
time.
important.
But in part because I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't stop and let myself grieve too much in the moment because I had the boys. I had my private practice. I had to go to work. I had to, you know, and he would have expected he had cancer. So we knew it was happening. And he was like, okay, you know what I expect.
Take care of these babies.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this conversation is really dynamic because I want to make sure that we're also not saying that being strong is not a good thing, but that we're also not saying it's not okay to fall apart. Like, it's okay, like sometimes it's falling apart and you gotta just, you know, and the irony in that is we think that everything is going, we think we won't be able to recover from that. I think that's the fear. If I just completely let go and let everything fall apart, we won't be able to, right? So instead, I gotta be strong so nothing falls apart, but at the same time, you're dying inside. And these kids are bottled up, and they're not managing, you know, this grief or pain or loss or trauma well
Well, you know,
either.
I'm a
So,
therapist, so they
but-
were in therapy.
Yeah,
You know,
so,
so we
right,
were all in therapy.
Right, see, well,
Because I am,
you
you
know,
were,
you
you
know
I'm a
were,
the resources.
you were
You know the
fortunate
resources.
and courageous enough to do that.
Yeah.
But there's also, I do want to just, I think there's some, and I'm not even clear exactly what I'm trying to say, but I just think there is value in the type of resilience that we have to say, not today.
That's
right?
in our bloodstream.
And
That's in
then-
our bloodline. That's in all of our
Right,
lineages.
and that's everybody. I think that's the power of the human spirit, right? And there's no greater testament to that than black people.
Yes.
But I think what I'm trying to maybe distinguish is making sure that we still get to it, right? So sometimes in the short term, we like, this can't fall apart. I got to keep this together. We got to keep this train moving. We'll slow it down, but this thing is going to stay on the tracks. There's something very valuable and powerful and profound there. But we got to make sure that we don't just keep that train running for however so many years, that we never stop it, park it, repair it,
Right.
give it the attention it needs,
Right.
get everybody the hell off it, so that we can
Right.
just have just us on
Yeah.
here and to
Yeah.
say, okay, everybody sit down, step aside, let's,
Yeah.
you know, like, so even through the years, because I don't always believe grieving ever ends.
No. Yeah.
I think about the people that I've lost. I mean, I just yesterday celebrated one of my boys' birthdays that I just lost a couple months ago, right? So I also believe in hitting that stuff right on the head. Hey, I didn't even give his ex and his little boy a choice. I'm pulling up. I'm coming over. We coming over, right? That type of thing. And then it ended up being a small gathering of friends, and it's exactly what the soul, right, needed.
Yeah, needed.
And then my sister hit me later, right, because she's like a sister of mine, and she was like, thank you so much for being here. That was really, important. That was really helpful. But I also know what it's like. I lost my brother in 92. I'm still grieving. That ain't never going away. But am I where I was in 92? No. But part of what has helped me is to have almost like to create customs almost. So every day I say his name. Every time his birthday comes up, I do something. I listen to my body. There are times I might want to be out and open and engaged. And typically, all right, I want to be around my boys or some male energy or whatever. I'm feeling that brotherly energy. I'm going to need that today. And there's other times I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to go nowhere. Sometimes I might just want to lay up under my woman. Sometimes I might want to, I might be telling everybody else in the world, thank you for who you've been to me. But it's still an expression kind of that grief. But whatever it is, every time these things come around, sometimes we're not even aware that they're happening, right? But you can't ignore that birthday when it comes up. Right. You can't ignore Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and even sometimes other people's birthdays, because then I'm like, man, I wish my brother was here for, right, my kids and my sister's kids and this, so it's constant reminders. So there's a way to give life and light to these things over time. So however we are resilient, know that there's space that wherever that power and that toughness and that tough love shows up, to then make sure you give yourself time to let that train fall apart.
But I think grief,
and open
too,
it up.
specifically, grief changes us. I mean, I'm changed forever. I think every time we lose someone significant, you know, your heart changes. And you never forget. And everybody just has to acknowledge it in the way that they
I
acknowledge
mean, I can
it.
even say it's pointed my life. So one of the things one of the ways I could have answered part of our conversation outside is I also, again, even just to focus on just the loss of my biological brother, although I've lost, other brothers and sisters. I've got godchildren that I've been raising, since I was in high school, and there are a couple of mothers in particular that have passed away. So now I'm helping to raise kids who have lost their mothers and children that aren't even biologically mine, right? So I'm trying to manage the child's loss, my loss, right, of these other people. But it's like trying to figure all this stuff out. But then I realized, oh, you know what? These things, there's a way to make sure that these things just aren't happening to us. And we're not just victims of circumstance. This is a cycle of life. None of us have any idea typically exactly how and when we're going to move on and transition from this particular plane. So instead, right, let's find a way to take these, not necessarily not acknowledging that there's some negative impact in these events, but let's make some let's make some lemonade out of these lemons, right? I can definitely say that losing my brother changed the trajectory of my life. It focused my attention again on family, on children, on brotherhood, on my spirit of service. There was definitely a transformation. Now instead, what it could have done was made me more violent, more afraid, more desperate, more frustrated, more powerless. I could have come back here shooting up however so many people trying to figure out who murdered him. I mean, we have a myriad of choices. And I believe one of the most powerful things we can do is to say, yes, this happened to me, or this happened to somebody else that I love or care about, but there's a way to take that energy and channel it in a way that not only it changes our heart, but it transforms the trajectory of our lives.
All right, and I'm going to give Dr. Camille the last word because our session is coming to an end.
Oh, I don't even know what the last word is. I just want to take a picture for Facebook. When we think about our mental health, we have to start thinking it in the same terms we think about our OBGYN yearly appointments, our dental appointments, this eye care. We need to have that same understanding of that aspect of being a component of essential health. Just to piggyback, there is strength in being strong, but there's also strength in knowing when being strong is not the only option you have available to you at the time. There's so many people that depend on you in life, and you need to be just as dependent on self. She said that to be selfish is, we've been cursed at about saying, oh, you're so selfish. To be selfless is an opportunity for everybody in that lineup that's depending on you to take care of them, to know that you have taken the opportunity to put your mask on. You have taken the opportunity to handle the things and to have the couples conversations. And then I just want to say to the mothers, they're watching. Yeah. Those little eyes see it all. Those little eyes will mimic your behavior. If we want to look to you to know if it's okay to cry about losing daddy, if it's okay to cry about grandma not being here anymore, they will, and they will follow what you do. They will ask questions, and it's okay to give answers. And even if those answers don't shine you in the greatest of light, little people already think you can fly. They already know you can hear through walls because you're walking in on being able to see the things that can't done. They're okay with you being human. You have to get comfortable in that space as well. All right?
I was so liberated the first time I saw my father cry. I'll never forget it.
Changed you.
I'll never forget it, and I'm so thankful for whatever touched him in such a way, but also thankful for his courage to be exactly who he was and where he was in that moment. It's a moment that I'll never forget. And and they say that men cry in the dark, but I'd like to ask all of you to allow men to cry out in the open and give them the love and the support they deserve.
What a wonderful sentiment. Thank you, panel. I have to share that this panel was sponsored by Mocha Moms.
Yes.
And also, these luminaries, please share, again, your name, your credentials, and your affiliation.
Well, I'm Dr. Camille Adams-Jones. I am the founder of Clinician Fest, which is our opportunity to where we bring Nobody Can Get Therapy on May 2nd and 3rd of 2024. All the therapists will be with me. It's a virtual platform that we put together to make sure that we as a community are coming together to be transformative thought leaders, finding new ways to reach you. There's ecotherapy, there's healing in farming, being able to plant something and watch it regrow, all right? Music, art, theater, talk therapy, walk therapy, understanding that you can have Christ and a counselor, okay? But everybody telling you can't do that. So that's Clinician Fest at www.clinicianfest.com. I'm Dr. Camille Jones. I'm native to this, I'm a native New Yorker, but I'm in the Washington, D.C. area, and I'm always available to have necessary and needed conversations based in mental health and wellness.
I am Dr. Lisa Lowry Lomas. I'm president and CEO of Lisa Listens Incorporated, which is my private practice. I've been in private practice for about 23 years. Individual, couples, counseling, workshops. I develop and facilitate workshops for corporations and small businesses and the government alike. I am also privileged and honored to be the Eastern Area Director of the Links Incorporated, who's also one of the sponsors. So I'm delighted to be here. Thank you. And my website is lisalistens.net.
All right, everyone.
You all on Instagram and
I
all
am.
that stuff
Oh,
too?
I'm known as Mrs. Doc Jones, because yes, he did put a ring on it, so I do celebrate that. That's at MRSDOCJONES, and I often do Wellness Wednesdays, so if you're not feeling all right, you need a little pick-me-up, drop by my Instagram or Twitter, get a couple of tips and tabs on how you can do well and be well with each other.
And I'm Lisa Listens on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and LinkedIn is my name, Lisa Lowry Lomas.
All right, wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And thank you, Lamont. Great panel. And we are getting ready to close out.